Welcome back to part 2, guys. In this bit we're getting straight into it, looking at the armour in a bit more detail. So I start off just by literally using some flat colours, just to get sort of a basis of how I want the shading to be. And then I start using it's called I think it's called the polygonal lasso tool, although most people just call it the polygon lasso tool, which is a lot easier, to actually select specific areas within this. It's usually like triangular shapes I'm using. Once you use it, you end up with that dotted line. I think it's called marching ants or something. And when that line is up there, when that selection is there, it means that you can only paint within that area, and that comes in. That's really handy, and that helps you get the sharp edges, especially here on the feet. It really helps getting, if you can see like the actual drop shadow from each plate, it really helps to get that really nice finish. The brush I'm using is another textured brush, really simple to make. It is literally just like a sort of loads of tiny dots, loads of them, with quite a high scatter effect on it. The only way I can think to describe it is very specular, and I use this because I'm going for sort of a rusty type feel on iron armour, and it works really well, but I used it to shade it as well, but then added sort of an orange colour on top of that, especially in the lighter areas, just to add, as I said, to add some rust into there, which I feel worked really well. With this buckler here, I did have a symbol in the middle, which you could see there before I painted over it. I ended up not using that just because I thought it looked pretty good without it, so I just kept it like that. I thought it showed the rust better, showed the effect I was going for. Again here, we're back on using the brush that I used for the hair, but this time using it for fur. I started off with a base colour with a normal brush, doing some hairs on the outside to give it a rougher feel. Then using the hairbrush again, but to use a lot shorter strokes this time. That's how you get the effect of fur, or that's how I used it anyway. The bow, again, just sort of did the bottom half, got it roughly how I wanted it. I do change it a bit because I wasn't too happy with that, and flipped it vertically, copied and pasted it to make sure it was even. This bit here with the feathers actually, again, is using the same brush, the hairbrush. So the main two brushes I used within this video were they're all dotted brushes, but one I used for rust and an effect of iron armour, and one I used for hair, for feathers. I think I use it a little bit on the wood as well, but I don't go into great detail on that. Here I'm putting in some more of using the polygonal lasso tool again to create more of the armour type thing. I thought it matched the rest of the image, and it stopped the bow looking too plain, which it really did look at first. And then I just added some little bolts in on all of the bits of rusty iron armour, which worked pretty well. Here I put in the quiver to hold the arrows. I wanted this to turn out like a leathery effect, although I didn't really know how to do that. But I started off just putting some fur at the top, again using that hairbrush, and then taking the arrow that I'd already done and basically cropping that down, copy and pasting it a few times, just rubbing the bottom out there as you can see, and adding a bit of shadow to make them look like they fit into it, which, yeah, I was happy with the way that turned out. Next, I sort of got the base colours down on the rest of the quiver, and as I say, I wasn't too sure what to do with leather, so I ended up sort of cross-hatching, but with colours, not just shading. It was alright. It worked on this strap, which I had to do on a separate layer. You can see, when you zoomed in, you can see it quite well coming up just there, but when you zoom out, it doesn't have as much detail, but I feel it did give it some texture. Then it's just a case of me putting in some final drop shadows, some smaller ones off the bow, off the arrow, off the string itself. I didn't bother spending too much time doing I didn't spend any time doing a background. I just literally stuck a black and white gradient in there. I thought it worked fine for what I needed it, because I'm terrible at backgrounds. I need to practice more at them. And yeah, that's it. Sorry, this isn't very smooth the way I'm scrolling down, but I just wanted to show you it all zoomed in because it's got a little bit more detail in, especially around the face, compared to when you actually zoom out, which I'll show in a second. You can't see a lot of the detail, so that's it finished, basically. So in this, I've actually covered, I like to think, for me, this is my first time using Photoshop in one of these videos, and I covered using texture brushes. That was the main point of this, using the brushes for like hair, fur, feathers, the rust brush, things like that. Yeah, I was happy with the way it came out. I hope you guys liked it. If you did, please, comment, subscribe, let me know what you think. If you use Twitter, Facebook, or DeviantArt, follow me on that. Yeah, I'd love to hear back from you guys. Thanks for watching.